Okay, so don't mind the cats. They're really wanting to be a part of this for some reason. Anyway, something I was thinking about was how the hardest thing for me to grasp the first time that I entered recovery was probably the most important thing, but the doing it for myself. Like, a lot of people, I could only think of extrinsic motivation, like, wanting my family to not be disappointed in me or keeping a job or things like that, which are all good things. And, I have had obviously so many positive changes in times that I've been sober, but I was missing like the key factor of the intrinsic motivation of like, why do I personally want to be sober just for me in a way that doesn't relate to anything else? Uh, and I finally figured out, not necessarily like in this minute, like this wasn't an epiphany or anything, but over time, uh, in recent months, I guess, and I figured I would compile them into like a little list in case it motivates anybody else and helps them figure it out for themselves. So, the first thing that really motivates me, which really did almost strike me as an epiphany when it first came to me, I kind of have to preface with like the train of thought, which basically was playing the tape the whole way through. How people always say, like in recovery circles and stuff, when you think about going back out or whatever, that you should play the tape the whole way through and think like, what will happen if I take the first drink or the first hit or whatever. And obviously, what it boils down to is like, I could lose everything. I could literally die. Like all of those things, that we all know. Um, and to a lot of people, I know it might sound harsh to say, but they just don't care. Like in the moment when they're obviously feeling unwell enough that they're willing to risk their livelihoods and even lives and everything, they don't care. So that kind of stuff didn't really motivate me, I guess. And what really did start to motivate me was when I thought about, in that mode of like, so what if I lose everything? And also the battle between that and your demons, which try to tell you that you might not lose everything, like not every single relapse led to me like ruining my life. So, uh, you have the two wolves inside of you who are like, you could just lose everything. Well, I don't care. I have no self esteem. I have no like regard for my well being. But I could also make it work somehow and everything would be fine and you could hide it and whatever your demons try to tell you that's like mostly inaccurate, but whatever. For all intents and purposes, it's like the train of thought that comes down to sometimes. And what really like trumped all that for me was thinking, okay, so let's say you don't lose everything. You still will lose your mind. Like you literally will lose your mind. At least for me. Like I guess I can't speak for everyone. Absolutely, that's a given. You basically are, when you take the first hit or drink or whatever, you're basically signing away your ability to maintain your convictions. Because obviously, especially for a lot of us, that's your biggest conviction, that's like the number one thing you don't want to do. Um, like all your other habits aside, you're already like folding on your moral values and everything. So if I'm able to do that, then I know that I'm basically giving like my skeletons free reign of everything else, because the moment that I do that is when I'm no longer like, you know, in conscious control of everything that I do. And it's not that I think I can blame like bad things I've done while I was high on drugs, because obviously I allowed that into my life and like I still took part in like, still took part in the series of events that led to downfalls and stuff. But also at the same time, like I'm still aware that I've acted in ways that I never would otherwise when I was using. And that, like understanding that I won't be myself anymore. I won't have my mind that I love so much. That changed everything for me. Like I guess that's kind of like the overarching picture here, that I have a couple more points that stem from it, but that's basically like the too long didn't watch. Like I don't want to lose my mind. And I guess it's that idea, like the clarity that I have now, that I wouldn't trade for anything. And that's what motivates me to keep doing what I'm doing, because I don't feel like I'm drowning anymore. You know, like, not all of the feelings that I have are good feelings. Like, not every single day is the best day ever. But when tragedy strikes or whatever, you know, you have car issues, um, an argument with somebody, or, you know, things like that, something goes wrong at work, like, it's not the end of the world, because I don't feel like, um, I always used to say that in periods where I wasn't doing well, that it felt like I was like that guy in the circus who is like juggling plates on a unicycle. Like, it literally felt like every little tiny thing was just piling onto like an insurmountable mountain of things that needed done that I could never do, because I was always hyperfixating on like all the wrong things firstly, and not even getting any of those things done. Like, I would go to redo my whiteboard calendar for the month, which was always like 2.5 weeks late, and then I would like spend an hour doing that because I would have to rewrite every number like 10 times because they looked wrong, stuff like that. So I would waste like half the day on stupid shit, and then wouldn't do any of the things that I actually wanted to do, and then I would still have to go to work. So like the dishes wouldn't be done, the house would be a mess, because I spent all my time like hyperfixating on stupid stuff. And also, like I said, it was like 2.5 weeks late, so I didn't even have a calendar most of the month, most of the time, because I would procrastinate on doing like the simplest things like that. And all the things that actually needed done, I would just think about doing, and I would make like plans for how I was going to do it. But that's like the extent of it. I would always just be thinking about things, planning things, never actually getting anything done. And so, like, everything that needed done was just like a snowball effect of more and more things that needed done, because certain things I didn't do would have consequences. Then I'd have to be dealing with the consequences of what I didn't do. Um, because, like, I just could never prevent anything. So I was always constantly problem solving. And it's a miserable feeling. And now, you know, the clarity that I have, like I said, I'm able to face things, and when I do have to problem solve, which is a lot less often, I actually can, and then the solutions come. But the better thing is that, you know, I'm doing more prevention. Like, I'm actually doing good things, daily maintenance things for my body and my car and my house and stuff, so that tragedy doesn't strike as often. And I'm actually mostly just doing things I enjoy. I mean, not everything that I have to do I enjoy, but I don't dread everything. I mean, you're not all strung out and sick all the time and angry all the time and tired. So, like, fun things are more fun, and hard things are not as hard. It's that simple. Also, a big thing with that is that I have nothing to hide now. So, like, if something goes wrong, you know, I don't feel like I'm always having to over explain everything that I do or have going on and still be misunderstood because I'm unwell. So, like, I could just say that I have car issues. Like, if I actually have a car issue and I'm calling out of work because I have to go fix something, I don't have to worry that my boss is going to assume something bad, because nothing bad's happening. So I can just be transparent, and I'm not like terrified of the world, because the world's not against me. I'm a part of the world again, and it feels good and it's normal, and I can just be myself and actually know who I am, because I can think clearly and I love who I am. Or I'm coming to a place where it's easier to. Like, I still struggle with my self-esteem sometimes, but it actually does, you know, feel possible when you actually have the time to sit down and like think about who you are and what you want to do, and, you know, or just putting one foot in front of the other and trying to make the right decisions. And so not having anything to hide, like having a clear conscience, makes it way easier, because you're not just digging your hole deeper. Even if you're not lying, like, you're not even, you know, lying by omission. Like, you can just tell the truth. And there's a huge weight off all the time when people believe you and understand you. And just because of that, I think the best part is, I think about the right way to say it. I think the best part is that when good things happen too, like, I can be proud and grateful for the blessings that I receive, and not constantly thinking that, like, if somebody helps me, I'm not even just talking about money or anything, but I'm talking about, like, literally a task, like getting physical assistance, say, like, at work, like someone helping me do something, reaching something that's too tall for me or whatever, um, I can be grateful for that and not think that I don't deserve the help or that, I get embarrassed because I think that I'm like fucking up and, you know, they're happy to help me because I'm like incapable of doing it. No, it's like I'm just part of the world. Like we all help each other. I try to help other people and I never judge them for needing my help with something. So it's like so refreshing to just be able to think like, oh, these people care about me and want to help me and care about whatever needs done and think that it can be easier if we both do it. And it's still something that I struggle with asking for help, but it's getting easier just because I actually believe that it's not an insult to me, or not necessarily an insult, but when I was unwell, like I would think that just that I didn't deserve it, and it would make me feel like ashamed somehow when people were giving me assistance. So not feeling like that is like one of the greatest gifts of all time. Like it really boils down to just having a symbiotic relationship with the rest of the world, like knowing that we all can mutually benefit off of each other and I'm not a burden for interacting and taking up space and like making noise and talking to people. Like it's literally, it's so hard to explain, but it's the most beautiful thing. And like I was saying about how not all of my feelings are good feelings, the other beautiful part about that is that when I am feeling like negative feelings, which do happen because life on life terms is not always fun, but like I can always understand for the most part why I feel the way that I feel. Like I'm not just lost in a whirlwind of like chaos and can't tell like where my anxiety is coming from and my despair. Like I might feel a little bit anxious and then, I just take a minute to like think about it and pray about it, and usually I can figure out like why I feel that way, and then I can either solve it or I can let it go if there's nothing that I can do. And like I feel like the self-awareness of being able to analyze like that changes everything, because of course when you feel like anxious and depressed and stuff and you can't figure out why because your judgment's so clouded and you're just like having racing thoughts about a whole bunch of different things that might not even be related, you're just going to be, talking yourself into terror that is unwarranted most of the time. And when you're not able to find like the source of it and you just get lost in that, like it's really hard to come out of it. So I was pretty miserable most of the time like when I didn't have the clarity that I have now. And it's so much easier just being able to take one thought and one event at a time and sit with it for a bit and look at it from whatever angle I need to and then set it aside, because a lot of the time the stuff that I do worry about is stuff that I can't control, because if I can control it I can just do whatever I need to do and there's no problem. So like accepting that, and being able to like isolate things like that, and I identify like where my feelings are coming from, that literally saved me. Like that saved my life, and I never want to not be able to do that. Like I'm not saying this as like a flex, but like a lot of other addicts and stuff, I have a very powerful mind. Obviously we used it to talk ourselves into like justification for pretty diabolical things sometimes. So that means most of the time, like, I know this is kind of controversial, but we're pretty smart. Most of us are pretty smart, or we wouldn't have been able to get away with a lot of stuff that we did. So even if it didn't always, like, it's not stuff to be proud of, but I'm just saying that being able to channel that intelligence into positive things is a blessing. And I would never in my life want to let go of like the grip on my mind that I have. Literally it's literally the best thing that's ever happened to me. I genuinely can say that even if there's things I'm insecure about myself, I love my mind. I feel so grateful to have the emotional intelligence that I have and self-awareness that I have, even if it feels like a curse sometimes more than a blessing. I think that's like the pinnacle of all this, is that like how I started by saying that the umbrella term was I don't want to lose my mind. That's the the conclusion that we're circling back to is that I wouldn't trade like the connection that I have to my mind for anything. And so when I think about, like, purposefully think about in a sense of like remembering and wondering what I would do if I was in a situation like that, not really being triggered necessarily, because I don't feel that way. I don't feel inclined to go back out or anything personally. Like, I know everyone's experience is different, but this time around I genuinely feel no interest and like entirely disdain for all of it. But when I purposefully think about like what if I were to do that, just to, I guess, like pop quiz myself of how I'm doing with my recovery, I literally just think something along the lines of like, sounds awful. Sounds absolutely awful. I don't want to lose my mind. I like remembering things. I like knowing what's going on. I like being present and mindful and not having anything to hide. And that's enough for me to keep coming back. That's enough for me to not want to throw my life away. Even if I could get away with it, even if I was on a deserted island where I would not face any consequences and like I was entirely alone, I wouldn't hurt anybody, I wouldn't like lose anything, I wouldn't, like, I could be in a vacuum and like I wouldn't, especially if I'm alone, because then I only have my mind, and if I don't have that, then like that sounds like actual hell. That sounds like actual torture. I don't think that I don't know what I would do if I was in a vacuum with only, I would just sit and think, I guess. Like, I would literally just chill with my mind, and that would be better than that. So, that's my experience. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I just thought maybe that someone would resonate with any of that if you actually did listen to it, and hopefully it helps somebody. If not, I don't care. It felt good to put the words out there.